I've already sung the praises of the processor that's slapped inside of this little gaming tablet PC thing that Asus made. The ROG Flow Z13 holds the newest AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 chip inside, and it's quite a performer according to our previous testing. But it was limited by the fact that this is harnessed inside a remarkably thin portable gaming super iPad. So today's video is going to focus on the rest of this Asus branded Microsoft Surface. Let's start with the physical aspects because they're truly striking when you get your hands on this device. The full CNC milled metal chassis feels incredibly sturdy in the hands, and you'll notice that the tablet has a kickstand at the back for making sure you can prop up the 1.2 kilo or 2.65 pound half a laptop. You get 170 degrees of adjustment, which is enough to make sure it's placed in any position you want to use it in. What you won't see while you're making the Flow do computer yoga is the semi-transparent back that gives you a window into some of the circuitry with RGB illumination. Yeah, this will scream gamer if you ever take it in public. But as you origami the tablet all over the place, you can also utilize the included detachable RGB keyboard. Yes, it also has RGB, but it's not per key controllable. The keys on this optional keyboard are decent to type on with a good amount of rigidity, and they're fairly silent. But the best part of the keyboard is that it also has a couple of adjustments as well. It can either lie flat, or you can tuck it under to get it to be slightly raised at the back to be more akin to a regular desktop keyboard. You also get a trackpad included, which does turn the Flow Z13 into a technical laptop, but you can also get the magic keyboard for the iPad that gives you the same thing, so I'm not sure if it's more appropriate to call this thing a Windows tablet or a Windows laptop. Regardless of my uncertainty as to the Flow's identity, the trackpad itself is a great size, positioned well for good usage, and is as good as Windows trackpads get. Let's get back to the meat of the device. The screen on the Flow Z13 is 13.4 inches, a modest size for a portable gaming device these days. Small, some would say, but it makes up for that with what is in those 13.4 inches. You get a 16 by 10 aspect ratio of 2560 by 1600 resolution on the IPS level panel, whatever Asus means by that. What the heck is IPS level? They did not disclose it, but you do get adaptive sync, 100% of the DCI-P color space, 180 Hz refresh rate, 3 millisecond response time, and a surprisingly bright 500 nits. Overall, it's a healthy screen for on-the-go gaming, sufficiently bright for most environments you bring it into besides in direct sunlight, and that 2.5K resolution isn't too much for the Strix Halo chip that's packed into this beefy boy. Again, I don't know what IPS level is, but the viewing angles seem fairly good. It doesn't have quite the VA situation. It also doesn't feel like TN. It is close to IPS. I just couldn't get a straight answer as to what IPS level means. But within the Flow's half an inch thick body, you do get some quite incredible specs jammed in there. Our model was the aforementioned AI Max Plus 395 APU, which comes with 16 cores of the latest Zen 5 architecture at up to 5.1 gigahertz and the 40 compute unit 8060S integrated GPU. It can go down to the AI Max 390 though, which only has 12 cores and the 8050S 32 CU iGPU. But with our 395 unit, we also had it kitted out with 32 gigs of LP DDR5X memory, but it does come in up to the 128 gigabyte flavor. But do remember that this is memory that is part of the chip, so it's not user upgradable unless you're a soldering wizard. It also comes with a 1 terabyte Gen 4 NVMe SSD on the 1 M.2 slot with Wi-Fi 7 triple band 2x2 and Bluetooth 5.4 for the wireless connectivity. On the outside, you're greeted with a combo audio jack, HDMI 2.1 capable of up to 4K 120 output, a micro SD card reader, one Type A USB port at 10 gigabits, and then two Type C USB ports that are USB 4, so that means you get 40 gigabits of speed, DisplayPort out, power delivery 3.0, and even support for Thunderbolt E GPU docks, and then there's a power port for the 200 watt included charger. You can also use the Type C ports for up to 100 watt charging for juicing up the included 70 watt hour battery, which in our testing managed to hit around 8 hours of mixed use of web browsing, YouTube watching, and text editing at 50% brightness. Purely binging YouTube videos netted us 4 hours and 5 minutes, and gaming on that battery both dropped the frame rate, but also the lifespan of the Flow to just 50 minutes, so stay near a wall outlet for longer gaming sessions. But jammed in next to the battery is the shrunken motherboard that's 15.5% smaller than the last gen, according to ASUS, which then let them increase the battery to the 70 watt hours from 56 on the previous flow, a 25% capacity increase. They also slapped in larger fans to help cool the AI Max chip. Now, ASUS doesn't provide the TDP of the chip, but in our observations, the flow consumed about 50 to 60 watts during gaming sessions, and the cooling solution was super capable of dissipating that for a few reasons. The fans are bigger, but they also use liquid metal to transmit heat to the heatsink, which happens to be a new stainless steel and copper vapor chamber. And while the fans get noticeable, it's not overwhelming for a gaming laptop. We managed to keep the Strix Halo chip to roughly 76 degrees Celsius during gaming, and thankfully all that heat gets blown out the top of the device, so if you stick the Z13 on your legs, it's not roasting those hairs to well done or using your skin as a heatsink. And it's weird but not bad to use on your lap due to it being a tablet with that kickstand, and while that does give you pressure points in your thigh meat, it's surprisingly sturdy and it doesn't hurt that bad, especially since again it's only 1.2 kilos. Now, before we revisit the performance that we fully covered in our review of the Strix Halo chip, which you can watch by clicking up there, I want to address a weird little quirk and feature of this Flow Z13. It has your bog standard front-facing camera, which is a 5 megapixel IR camera capable of being used for Windows Hello. But also, like a tablet, it has a rear-facing camera, a 13 megapixel one. It's just goofy to see on a gaming tabletop thing, especially considering ASUS doesn't even include one webcam on some of their gaming laptops. The webcams on this aren't anything to write home about, good for Teams calls when you want to show yourself and then turn it around to show what coffee shop you're working in, I guess. Also, you have a 2x2 watt speaker setup with a 3 microphone array for teleconferencing. All right, it's time for performance. Again, we've already done a deep dive, so this will just be the Heathcliff notes. This thing is wicked fast. 16 cores do great at CPU tasks. The 40 compute units make the Flow Z13 super capable at 1080p high gaming, and if you want to game at the native 2.5K resolution, you gotta drop to medium settings to average over 60 FPS, but you can't average that with an integrated GPU. It's wild that we're getting close to 4060 performance without having to smush a separate graphics card into this device. But if that almost 4060 spec isn't good enough for you, ASUS is planning to launch a new XG Mobile eGPU at some point that has an RTX 5090 mobile in it, so maybe that'll give you the extra FPS to scratch your frame rate itch. It's a mighty fine performer by itself though. Overall, ASUS has crushed it with the design of the ROG Flow Z13. It's thin, sleek, cool in temperature, cool in looks if you like RGB, practical, highly performant, versatile, exceptional with I/O. It's one of the best pieces of tech that I've had the privilege of using in the last few years on this channel. It provides so much in a compact space and doesn't scream and wail and burn to death like many other gaming laptops, let alone gaming tablet-esque devices. The only real weakness that I can point out about this thing is, drumroll please, the price. We're staring down the barrel of $2,300 for the 32 gig spec version we have. The 64 gig one hits 2,800 bones, and they haven't disclosed the price of the 128 version. Now, it's not apples to apples at all, but Framework is selling their 128 gig version of the Strix Halo desktop for $2,200 with one matching storage and other specs. Or you can get the ITX mainboard by itself for just $1,700, again for 128 gigs. If you just want the 32 gig one, that's just 800 bones. Again, nowhere near a fair comparison, just wanted to show what other Strix Halo items are going for without screens, keyboards, etc. But if you start looking at $2,300 to $2,800 for gaming laptops, you can get one with a 4080 and an i9 or Ryzen AI9 and a 5070 Ti. Laptops that would absolutely crush this tablet in gaming performance, but would lose when it comes to power efficiency and overall weight, size, and portability. So while the weakness of the ROG Flow Z13 is that it is expensive, thereby making it out of reach for a lot of gamers, it has advantages that no other competitor in its price class can muster. It's hard to know though who the target market is. How many people are looking for an iPad-sized tablet that's heavier, thicker, but can play games, who also wouldn't just be looking at regular gaming laptops and want the fastest performance? Is it you? If so, let me know in the comments. But even if I can't imagine who's willingly go out to buy this, I can tell you that if you do pick it up, you've purchased an incredibly solid, robust, and exceptional gaming tablet that will absolutely crush games like no other tablet before it.